Oh, so you're blind?
How can he be a service dog? He's so little.
So, what's your Just ask me, is that a service dog?
I went to a restaurant and the person that greeted me at the door just asked me about Blaze, which is normal. She asked me what Blaze was for, and I just told her she's a medical service dog. And she said to me, well, what for? And that's when I didn't really need to say anything more. But I decided I would. I said she's for PTSD. And then she said, well, what does she do? And I said she helps me with my symptoms. And I just generally said she can be trained for up to 75 different symptoms. And she helps me with some of those. And she said, well, what specifically does she help you with? And my wife was with me at the time, and she realized like how triggered I was. So I said to her, I said, would you ask all these same questions to somebody in a wheelchair? Because you're asking me very personal questions. And she looked at me with very big eyes and didn't say anything else. And afterwards she said that she was sorry. And I said, thank you. Because I knew that it wasn't what she intended. But you know, it's not just in the moment. You know, these events can affect me for a day, 3 days, a week.
In a situation where, if as a service provider, if you're concerned about whether this dog is allowed in this establishment, try not to approach me with a standoffish tone. Telling someone you can't be here prior to inquiring about why this dog is there is quite invasive and confrontational. So if you need to ask me about why he's here, and I'm okay with you asking why he's here, but if you need to do it, just ask, is that a service dog? Yes. And if you need to go further than that, can I see paperwork to substantiate, do you have identification to substantiate him being a service dog? That's fine. I have no problem with that. And legally, as an establishment, you're allowed to ask those questions. But the confrontational stuff is very hard for, especially first responders and military personnel. We don't necessarily deal with confrontation very well when we're dealing with a disability like PTSD. And you could look at the autism spectrum as well. That person or their family that are with a dog, a service dog, a confrontation is horribly detrimental to that family. You know, so a gentle approach. Curious questions, that's fine.
A service dog handler has the right to go into any public space, including a restaurant, with their service animal without being challenged or harassed. The person in authority can ask the handler of a dog being identified as a service dog for identification or something that certifies that the dog is a service dog. They can ask questions in any jurisdiction in Canada as to what tasks the service dog does for the individual. They cannot, under privacy legislation, ask the handler, what is your disability? What is your prognosis? Or any questions dealing with the personal information of the individual.
Come on, bud.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. How about you?
Good, thanks. Welcome to Big Daddy's. Can I get you a table for 2?
Actually, I'm expecting 2 more, so if I could get a table for 4, that'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Follow me right this way.
Thank you. Come on, man.
Will here work for you?
That's perfect, yes. Please. It can be crowded spaces, but oftentimes a lot of us really struggle with ambient noise.
Can I get this chair out of the way so there's more room for your dog?
That'd be great, yes,
Sure.
please.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So just a dull roar can really upset us. And the reason that can upset someone with PTSD so much is that we're dealing with something called hypervigilance. So because we were on alert so often doing our jobs that cause these traumatic symptoms, our brains were almost conditioned to always be on alert, always be paying attention, and too much. So that's why it's called hypervigilance.
So it's very important that that customer care people, when they see a service dog, that's the time to assist the person, maybe help them through a shorter line, like they do somebody in a wheelchair. We need to do better than we have in the past.
I've encountered very helpful staff. No interference when I'm walking through the door. And interference is a heavy word, but they don't even ask what he's doing. And oftentimes they'll offer, does he need some water? Which is extremely helpful. Because I don't go around with the expectation that you're going to offer me a bowl of water for my dog.
I find it hard to tell people no, because I don't want to get into what she's for, and I also don't want to tell them anything about myself. So if somebody comes up to me and starts talking to me, I feel obligated to give them an answer. So it would be nice if, especially in restaurants, if people are coming up to my table all the time and are kind of harassing me, I would hope that the waiters or somebody would step in and say, we would really like you to respect the person having their lunch and give them the space that they require.
That's one of the points I want to hammer home, is that he's not a pet. He's a service dog. He's working for me. He's performing tasks for me. If you're able to, as a service provider, ignore that dog, that's the best advice I can give you.
I have to say, that's a good-looking dog. Would it be okay if I pet your dog?
Unfortunately, no. Ben is my service dog, and as a service dog, he's listening and looking for cues from me. So if you were to feed him or pet him, that distracts him from doing his job. So unfortunately, no. I'm sorry.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know that.
If someone were to come up to assist me for another thing, then I would like them to be speaking to me. I would like them to be ignoring Poppy, because she is working for me. Distracting service dogs is dangerous, because in my case, I could fall, but in some cases it's even more serious, where someone could die if you're distracting their service dog, and the stakes are that high, and you just don't know what the service dog is for. So you can't assume that making baby talk at the service dog or grabbing the service dog is not costing someone their life. You can't make that guarantee.
Sometimes the right person is standing right in front of you. You might not notice, but I know he notices you. I'm not broken, I'm just hoping you're my greatest fear. Maybe you just don't see him. There's no writing on the wall. Things that you say might confuse him. None of that matters at all. Dreams of being around her. Dreams of the perfect chance. I'm not broken, Sometimes I just need control.